The 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. What a race. I mean, such a roller coaster of emotions, from tyre blowouts to safety cars to red flags, the two championship contenders not scoring points, underdogs finishing on the podium. I mean, it had everything. And Baku once again delivered a thriller. Now, if you follow this channel closely, you'll know that this style of content isn't what I'm used to making. This video isn't scripted, I'm basically just talking off the cuff, and I just wanted a way to talk about everything that happens after every race weekend. Hence, we have a new series called The Winners and Losers of the X Grand Prix. In this case, it's Baku, and you guys can get involved by leaving your winners and losers of the race weekend down in the comments below. But without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Winner, Sebastian Vettel. In the lead up to the weekend, Seb had just come off a brilliant result in Monaco where he finished P5. He was able to jump both Pierre Gasly and Lewis Hamilton in the pit stops. And this weekend, he was looking to repeat something similar. He somewhat struggled throughout practice, as in FP2, he finished down in P15 behind his teammate Lance Stroll. However, he managed to improve in FP3, where he finished 11th place and ahead of his teammate by just under a tenth of a second. So heading into qualifying, getting into Q3 would have been the target. On the first set of runs in Q2, Vettel locked up into the infamous turn 15, leaving him just 0.03 of a second outside of a spot in the final shootout. But unfortunately, a red flag caused by his former teammate Daniel Ricciardo meant that he couldn't finish the lap he was on, which probably would have taken him into the top 10. After the session, Vettel jokingly said, "It's an advantage on free choice of tyres, but I think that's the standard phrase that everyone in P11 always talks about." It was obviously a disappointing end to what could have been his third Q3 appearance of the season, but he still found positives to talk about regardless. And this optimism could be backed up by the fact that Daniel Ricciardo back in 2017 actually won the race from P10. So him starting in P11 on a track where he could overtake and with multiple options on strategy was somewhat of an advantage. During the first stint of the race, in my opinion, was where Vettel's race was made. He managed to make up places through overtakes and preserve enough life on his soft tyres to go long and eventually find himself in the lead of the Grand Prix. Then on lap 36, his teammate was involved in a high-speed crash on the main straights due to a tyre failure, and thankfully he was able to get out okay. Consequently though, this brought out the first safety car of the race. With Vettel on tyres that were 9 laps younger than the two ahead of him, he was the one sitting pretty for the restart. As the safety car came into the pits, Sebastian managed to sneak by his former teammate Charles Leclerc at the exit of turn 1, and then straight after took Pierre Gasly on the next lap to move up into P4. Then there was another tyre blowout, this time for Max Verstappen, helping Vettel to move up into the podium places. On this occasion, they decided to red flag the session and then restart the race with 2 laps to go. And at this point, because Vettel hadn't made it into Q3, he had a brand new set of C5 soft tyres. As the race got underway again, Hamilton locked up heading into turn 1, helping Vettel to elevate into P2, and in the end, this is where he ended up finishing. This was Vettel's first podium since Turkey 2020, and Aston Martin's first ever podium as well. This race was a reminder of Vettel's capabilities as a 4-time world champion. He controlled his race incredibly well, executed his strategy to perfection, and ultimately reaped the benefits of his hard work. Loser, Max Verstappen. The Dutchman's consistency on a Sunday so far has been remarkable. Going into the weekend, he had never finished below P2 and was just 4 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the standings. On Friday, his team were looking like the team to beat as he topped FP1 and ended the second practice session in P2, only behind his teammate Sergio Perez. Meanwhile, their championship rivals Mercedes didn't have the easiest of times when setting up the car. This left Lewis Hamilton down in P11 and Valtteri Bottas down in P16. So on Saturday, it was expected that both the Red Bulls would lock out the front row. Then, much to their surprise, it was Charles Leclerc who managed to put it on pole position, with Hamilton managing to drag the W12 into P2. Verstappen was still in the mix in third, however, so all hope was not lost on securing the race win. Early on in the race, Leclerc was basically helpless to defend against the Mercedes and Red Bull, so Hamilton, Verstappen and Perez all got through with relative ease. After that, Red Bull were able to put the reigning world champions under pressure, given they had 2 cars up front compared to Mercedes' 1. Hamilton was the first to blink out of the top 3, but crucially had a slow pit stop, as he had to wait for Pierre Gasly in the pits. This allowed Verstappen to jump into the lead and control the race until the end. However, at the end of lap 46, His left rear tyre gave way in a similar fashion to Stroll's, causing him to retire from the race in dramatic fashion. It was an absolutely gutting way to lose what would have been a guaranteed minimum of 25 points to extend his championship lead over Lewis. But fortunately for him, the 7-time world champion was also unable to score points, for reasons which we'll get onto later in the video. Winner, Sergio Perez. Quite literally the winner of the Grand Prix, Sergio had an absolutely flawless weekend. He was right on it from the word go in practice, and even said that he finally understands how to drive the car. Qualifying, on the other hand, was a major disappointment. It's one of the key areas he's been working on to improve, but is still quite inconsistent in. But that didn't mean he still couldn't finish on the podium. He ended up starting in P6 after Lando Norris was given a penalty for not following red flag procedures. He managed to make light work of Gasly and Sainz at the start, and then a few more laps into the race overtake Charles Leclerc. His in-lap during the pit stop phases was absolutely mega, and had he not had such a slow pit stop, he probably would have been in with a chance of overcutting his teammates. Nevertheless, he still managed to get ahead of Hamilton, which was perfect for the team. But the reigning world champion did not go down without a fight. Lap after lap after lap, he kept applying pressure to the man ahead of him, but Checo simply refused to give in. He didn't get the best getaway on the safety car restart, but still maintained the lead as Hamilton locked up into turn 1, leaving Checo to win his first race with Red Bull and of the season. This win will no doubt be a confidence booster for the Mexican. He now sits P3 in the Drivers' Championship, with, you guessed it, 69 points. Nice. And he should be able to carry over this momentum heading into the next few rounds. Loser, Lewis Hamilton. After Friday practice, not many would have predicted that Mercedes would have been challenging for the race win. They were left scratching their heads after FP2, where Lewis reported that he couldn't go any faster. As a result, they had an awful amount of work ahead of them to find performance before qualifying. They tried as many variations of setup as possible, from low downforce wings to high downforce wings, from old rear suspensions to new rear suspensions, until they found the perfect balance. This allowed Lewis to snatch an unlikely front row start alongside Charles Leclerc. He and the two Red Bulls got past the Ferrari relatively quickly, and from there, he maintained a gap of around a second to Verstappen. He was unlucky to lose out in the pit stops, but still kept within touching distance of Sergio Perez. Then after Verstappen's tyre blowouts, it was looking like he would be the one to come out of the weekend with the championship lead. But on the restarts, the world champion made a rare mistake by pressing what Mercedes call the magic button, which caused his brakes to switch off. A simple error, but extremely costly. Winners, AlphaTauri. Both Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda had their best result of the season, with the former finishing in P3 and the latter finishing in P7. The opening 5 races for the team have been relatively mediocre in my opinion. The last race in Monaco for Pierre Gasly at least was really the first time I felt they delivered on the promise they showed in pre-season. The Frenchman has consistently been up there when it's come to qualifying, however in the races he wasn't able to deliver as well. Yuki Tsunoda also went on a pretty dismal streak. P12 in Imola, P15 in Portimao, retired in Spain, and P16 in Monaco. But both drivers did an exceptional job to finish where they did. Gasly brilliantly defended from Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris to take the 3rd podium of his career, and Tsunoda had some great battles with Fernando Alonso as well. Loser, Valtteri Bottas. Will this guy ever catch a break? I mean, he already had bad luck before he even got to the track because he was stuck in Finland. Then once he got there, he didn't manage to find the right setup and was unable to get the most out of the car. For the first set of runs in Q3, he was told to give Hamilton a tow, but then got screwed over by the red flag and could only manage to qualify in P10. During the race, he couldn't find a way past Lando Norris and struggled to warm up his front tyres. The latest disappointment comes after another pointless outing in Monaco, where his crew were unable to get the front right tyre off during his first pit stop. This pushes him down into P6 in the championship, with 5 points separating him and Leclerc, and the same amount back to Sainz in P7. Heading into the next few races, he'll be looking to make a comeback as soon as possible. What did you think of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix? Who were your winners and losers? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel with bell notifications to keep up to date with all the latest content. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.